Guys, welcome to the Mindset Minder. This is one of those moments that I just love talking, sitting down with friends and being able to get deep details about how they are, what they do, what makes them successful, the experiences they've had in life. And today, I am privileged to talk to just not a friend, somebody that I love seeing him in pain, somebody who mentally he's actually really driven, and just his will to keep going, and even when the going gets tough, is second to none. This guy, I've tried killing him in the gym, trying to push him as hard as I can. He's not smart because he always stands up again. Simon.
It's a good intro. I like that.
Simon, I've tried killing you, bro.
Man, I told you couldn't break me, but on Wednesday I was broken. I was going to send you a message. I was going to say you actually broke me, but I was like, no, I'm not going to give you that.
But you've just said it now, this is actually on camera.
But today's Friday and I came back.
Yeah, but I feel
so
like
you might have broken me, but I repaired myself.
I feel happy just because you've accepted it. I've been thinking, when am I going to break this guy? Yeah. I haven't been able to break him.
It was that day, Wednesday morning.
A few months ago, I met Simon. I just used to see this guy sitting in a coffee, eating shit, talking a lot of bullshit to people with a France top. And we could see each other. There was a bit of liking there. And all of a sudden, one thing led to another. And I have to say, Simon has transformed his life, not only just mentally, but physically, emotionally, to become a really strong, I'll say, man, a father, a leader, a very good businessman. And I cannot thank you enough, bro, for the person you've changed to be. And I just cannot wait. It hasn't even been a year. It's been 6 months. And I cannot wait to see the transformation ahead of you. Now, Simon, I just want to jump in. Just tell us about yourself. Who are you? Where have you come? Or maybe just give us an insight of you or what you do. Let's just start with what you do at the moment.
What you do, because it's so much easier. Who am I? Where do I come from? It's like it's a novel, and they're all broken into chapters.
Yeah.
But who I am, what do I do now?
Yeah.
We run a buyer's agency business. So I'm in real estate. Been in real estate for 28 years, more than half my life. Yeah. But we run a national buyer's agency business. We've got arguably the most successful buyer's agency business here in Perth. Yep. And the long-term goal over the next 5 years is to be number one in Australia. Yeah.
Just tell us more about that. What do you mean by buyer's agency? Because somebody like me, I won't understand it.
Yeah, and it's funny because probably 6 years ago, very few people in Australia knew what a buyer's agent was, and it comes from my journey when I was doing real estate in New York. But effectively, the easiest way to explain it is a selling agent sells property and they represent the seller. Okay. A buying agent buys property on behalf of the buyer, so we represent the buyer. We ensure that when someone is looking to purchase a commercial property or residential property, that they have the right representation. Yeah. We help negotiations, we help with terms, we help with conditions. We look at everything all the way through to settlement and beyond. So off that buyer's agency business, we run a finance business, we've got a property management business, and we've got a building and pest business as well.
Oh, beautiful. Now, Simon, you've just said you are among the top 5? Yeah. In West Australia?
Western Australia, it's us and one others. Yeah. I never like to even use the word competitor, but for lack of a better term, there's a few competitors out there. Yes, yeah. But everything I do in my life, I don't do anything other than to be the best.
I can say that.
That's it.
Now, what you've just said, you're one of the best. What has made you or you and your business the best? What are some of the morals that you carry as a business owner that have made you to be the best? Or what is it that you do very good that is making? I'm gonna say you are the best because you're my boy.
Yeah, and I like that and I agree with that. Ego and humility is probably not a part of it. Yeah. But honestly, delivering on a promise, that's the easiest way to experience, because so many people talk. Yeah. I talk. So many people always talk. They're dressing a certain way or trying to, I call them the chameleon. They're trying to fit in and pretend to be the person you want them to be. Yeah. I'm just unapologetically me. Yep. Our whole business is unapologetically us. Yeah. We deliver on a promise. We work with honesty and integrity. Myself and my business partner Heath Bassett, we are same but different.
Yep.
Same
but different.
Same
like
but different, right? So I always refer to people like there's two types of people in the world. You're either in the Navy or you're a pirate.
Yep.
Now Heath is literally ex-Navy, so he is in the Navy, and I'm a pirate.
Yep.
So in the Navy, you process, you're structured, you tick every box along the way. And for me, in the pirate, I like, yep, that's good, but if I can find a way around it without breaking any rules and it being the best thing for my client, that's the way we want to do it. But I think what has led to our achieving success is the will. Like people forget about the human's will, the mindset to overcome. People are so quick to give up on themselves or to quit on a situation or to be a victim or to say that I couldn't do this because of this external force or I couldn't do this because this person
Victim
got it.
mentality.
You know what I mean? Like with us, the buck stops with us. So I don't care what the problem is. I don't care what the situation is. We are 100% accountable, and it's the will. Sometimes you have a day that's easy, and you go in, you buy 5 properties, you make some good money. Other days, you go in, you give it everything, you get nothing. So it's that will. It's always to push. It's like we were saying it today in the gym. When the tough gets going, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And it's so funny, but it's so true. Life is all about, for me, pushing through, doing more. So like the person to the left and the person to the right of me, they don't know I'm in competition with them, but I compete against every single person every single day. And if like you've seen me in the gym, and the guy can be bigger, he can be smaller, it can be anyone. But if they start at the same time I start, I'm not leaving that gym until they've left.
And for the viewers out there, you might actually think this guy is just talking, but actually this is true. I've witnessed this. He's just not talking BS here. He is one of the most competitive person that I've seen in a long time. Now, before we actually get more into detail on how successful your business is, I just wanted to rewind yourself. You've said that you've got a lot of chapters in your books.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I want you to go back. When did you think this is what you wanted to do in your life? What was that moment that you went, this is the profession I want to jump in?
It's a really good question because people always say do what you love. And when I was young, I wanted to play AFL or play tennis. I had absolutely zero interest in school. I went to uni for 6 months. Well, actually, I went to uni for 6 months. I got kicked out after 6 months. I didn't tell my parents.
Why did you get kicked out?
Because I just wasn't turning up.
But you can't be kicked out.
I was at the tavern. I was at the tavern just about every day.
You cannot be kicked out if you're not going.
But it's like, you're going to buy some books. And then I thought, well, I can't tell my parents because like they will kill me. And then I got the HEX bill. And Dad's like what's this? And I go, oh, yeah, well, I sort of left after 6 months. He goes, but you didn't tell anyone. I got a year's bill. And he goes, well, that's your problem. And when that became my problem, I had to do this thing that I'd been avoiding my whole life. It was work. And I didn't want to work. I just wanted to play sport, have fun. Like my whole life was geared around how do I have fun. And I went into, I was in St George's Terrace in Perth, the Chamber of Commerce, WA Chamber of Commerce, and I was having a finance interview. And John Wall from LJ Hooker was the head of LJ Hooker at the time. He'd overheard my interview, and as I was walking out, he grabbed me by the arm. And he's like, how would you like to have the highest paid, hardest working job you can get without qualifications? And I'm 18. Okay,
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Where do I sign up? What do I do?
This is what I want.
Because it's real estate. And my dad hated real estate. He'd done a lot of things, but when I got home that day and I said, oh, Dad, he's like, had the finance interview. He goes, oh, forget about finance. I'm going to be a real estate agent. Like, I'm going to make so much money. I just work real hard and I just make lots of money. It's amazing. I met this guy and da-da-da-da. He goes, boy, sit down. Had an A4 piece of paper, had the 500 outline text marker. He goes, what's our name? And I said, Deering. He goes, write it down. And he goes, what does that say? And I said, Deering. He goes, mate, it took me a long time to get this name to where I want it to be. Don't go fucking it up in a day. And that was his advice. But I didn't want to do real estate. I didn't want it. I just wanted to make money. I was selfish. I was self-absorbed. I was interested in the money. I wasn't doing any of it for the right reasons. And then I'd done that for a number of years, not having any interest to it. I'd been fortunate enough to be given other opportunities.
So did it go well?
Well, we did. Because the funny thing about success is they always talk about habits and ultimate drivers that get you there. And you don't have to necessarily be a good or a bad or an indifferent person to achieve success. You just have to have a work ethic and relentless will. So I've always had that, but when I was younger, I just had it pointed in my direction. I didn't care about other people. I only cared about myself. I was able to, I guess, afford other opportunities along my life. I was in Big Brother when I was 27 in 2005.
I'll come back.
And we'll come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back.
And that changed things. But I went and basically semi-retired when I was like 30. I lived in Whistler, just snowboarding for 2 years. That's where I met my now wife. We've got 3 kids. But when I had my first child, really long-winded way of answering this question, but when I had my first child, that was the first moment in my entire life that I'd experienced this selflessness, this urge to want to give every single thing I had. And then all of a sudden, I had my first genuine why. And that's when I decided, right, real estate wasn't my choice. I fell into real estate because bottom line is I wasn't good enough to play sport at the highest level. But then I was like, but I'm really good at this. I've got great knowledge. I've got the will. Now I've got a why. And that's when it became for me. So at 47 now, it was around 36 years on this earth I'd spent until it took me to become selfless and want to give
back to somebody
else other than myself.
Now you're looking at that 18-year-old kid. You've been promised to have this high-paying job. I want you to explain to me, where did you get the work ethic? Because I'm just looking, I actually just had an interview which sounds similar like this. Where did you get the work ethic? Because at that time, 18 years or 20 years, most kids are partying, most kids are staying home, most kids are just...
You think I wasn't partying?
They don't, but they just, they're not. So where did you get the fact that you needed to make money and then you had to add on work ethic to be able to get this job and to keep going? What was that like?
Well, I was lucky to have the mentor, because John Wall was phenomenal. He was very good at his craft, and it's probably my first insight into understanding empathy and psychology, and understanding how to get people. Influence is a better word than manipulate, but at 18 it was more about manipulation. How do I manipulate a certain situation to get a result? But my work ethic was only short-term work ethic because it was self-gratifying. It was I'll work hard for 3 months, make X amount of money, and then I will go and party for 3 months. And everybody that's on my team, the lads, the boys, or whatever, we're all going to go and enjoy ourselves. And then when that runs out, I've got to go back and work again. So it was a cycle. I was so up and down. Nothing had consistency other than when I had nothing, I knew I had to work.
And then we had everything, you knew you had to party.
And then when I had everything, it was time to party. So I was always this all or nothing.
But you're still that person now.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've mentioned it. I'm just going to ask again. You've got this yo-yo of party, work, party, work. When did it stop and go, this motherfucker needs to do what he has to do now? What was that moment, the turning point for you?
Again, it was becoming a father. It was so weird. I'd had so many friends that had kids beforehand. They go, you wait, you're going to have a kid that's going to change your whole life. And everyone talking to me about what happens when you have a child. I was like, I don't want to have kids. I thought I always wanted to be a father. Until you listen to someone else that's got kids and they talk about not getting sleep and all this stuff. But I just enjoyed partying. I enjoyed having fun. And for me, when I had my first child, Mackenzie, it was the selflessness was there, but the responsibility is what kicked in. It was like, and it was so funny. Like all my friends used to say, the only thing you can rely on Simon is to be unreliable. When it's 100% certainty for Simon to be somewhere, he won't be there. And when it's 100% certainty for Simon not to be there, he's going to be there. There's just, it was always very hit and miss. But once Mackenzie was born, it was like, right, there is something bigger than me. And I'm responsible and I've got duties and I need to make sure that every day I'm on this earth, my children are going to have every single opportunity they got. Not a silver spoon, because they all grow up with a work ethic and discipline, but that's when it happened for me. That was when the penny dropped. And don't get me wrong, I still like to go out and have a good time, but I don't go out and have a good time every weekend. I don't go out and have a good time every month. Now, when I go out and have a good time, I'm having a real good time. But it's the responsibility that becoming a father gave to me. And then it was like, all of a sudden now I am a role model. Like I've got little people that look up to me. Monkey see, monkey do. dad does this, dad does that, they become that person. The environment you put your children in is the environment that they grow up with. That's when it all changed for me.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, bro. Now, I wanna bring you here. I'm going to go in and out in everything, so bear with me. I wanna bring you back to the business. Okay? You've started this business. Where did that idea come from? Where did you, because somebody's out there trying to start their own business.
Yeah.
Okay? You are somebody who was up and down. So I'm just imagining you don't have a lot of savings. You don't have from a background where your parents will give you money. How did you go about creating this business with very limited, I'm assuming limited resource, because maybe you had to work yourself up. How did you start this business so that somebody who's out there trying to start a business, they can have a bit of an understanding for how you maybe did it?
I did start investing when I was young, but we started this business because both myself and my business partner Heath were sick of working for other people, making other people money, especially me with the corporate background, like making other people money, being the face of a business, telling people how much you care, but knowing behind closed doors with the corporate people, they didn't care. You were just a letter or a number, and the second you stopped making the money, they didn't want to know who you were. So when we started this business 6 years ago, we started the business with $2,000.
$2,000.
$2,000 as our capital. We had nothing. Our first ever video is me and Heath at a local footy oval in Floreat. We had an iPhone that I think we had resting on a shelf. Heath had sweat stains on his shirt, and we started telling people that we're the guys in real estate. We know what's happening. COVID's kicking out. We're kicking the footy at the local park, telling everyone why you'd want to buy with us. It was really raw, but we had nothing other than, and I go back to it all the time, the will. So when we first started coming out with these videos, it was just after COVID, and everyone thought that the world was going to end. Yep. Everyone thought real estate was on the nose. Perth real estate in particular had been terrible from 2014 to 2020. So for us, when we started the business, it was like the easiest way to be seen is to be different. Yep. So while everyone's narrative around real estate is it's going to keep going down and it's the end of the world, we'll just say it's going to change. And we're all the reasons why it's going to be wrong are all the reasons why it's actually going to start getting better and increasing. And the beautiful thing is, my old man always used to say, like, when you do something, when you start and you shit, nobody knows because you're shit. So you can keep being shit for ages. Nobody's going to know. But when you become good, you get a following. So we went from nobody knowing who we were to the market changing, and then overnight having instant credibility. And then I think with the way that we've approached our business, it was always about being very personable. So while we are unapologetically us, we love good old-fashioned service. We love that face-to-face interaction, live by the sword, die by the sword. When we're working with our clients, we treat them as though they're family and it's our property that we're buying. So that care, that factor really stepped in. But we started the business with $2,000.
So $2,000 could have not given you a lot. You've got an iPhone as part of recording. What was the first thing you guys thought you could invest in that will give you return? And yes, I know you've done the videos. So you got
social media.
So you got $2,000. You have to invest in it.
Yeah, we invested into social media. Had no idea about any of the metrics, how to target audiences, nothing. And from that $2,000, we picked up one client, and then that one client turned into $10,000, and then $10,000 turned into a couple,
30, 40,
a little bit more, and then a few more zeros behind the one, and then a few more zeros behind the one. But everything snowballed, and everything we did, and this is the important thing for anyone out there looking to start a business. Like, we don't owe any money to anybody. Everything we did with our business for the first 18 months, Heath and I were working 2 other jobs.
Okay.
We did not take a cent from the business. So we got the business to a stage where we had what I would consider a considerable amount of money in the account, and it took 18 months to get there. And then we said, right, now that we've done this for 18 months, to take it to the next level, we can't be doing 18-hour days. We've got to get rid of the other 2 jobs. We're going to give ourselves a wage. It was a real small wage. We had ourselves on a $60,000 wage. When you're a father of 3 kids, it's not much. It was just being single, it's not much. but everything was always into the business. We've got to a stage now where there isn't too many things we can't do.
Yep.
Put it that way.
That's great. I'm just thinking about you're working 2 jobs, you're saving every penny in your business.
I sold my house. To have cash flow.
To invest in your business.
No, not to invest in the business, to be able to feed the family.
Okay. So, yeah. So you must have such strong belief that this business was going to be it.
My old man, like, is the biggest influencer in my life. But my old man was always like, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say that you did everything you could and you weren't good enough, you'll be able to live with it. If you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll know whether you did or not. And if you didn't, that's something you won't be able to live with. So I just look back at my life and I thought, you know what? At any stage in my life, whenever I've given it 100%, I've always won. Sometimes I give 50% and I've still won. So I was like, well, I'm going to give this everything and we will win. And so there was never any other option.
But Simon,
there was never any other option.
You've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
You're selling your house. Your business is not bringing money. It's bringing money, but you're saving it.
Yep.
You're working 2 jobs. What kind of mindset did you have? Or, we are talking about mindset.
Yeah, it is. It's all mindset.
Yeah. What were you thinking? You're selling a house to be able now to feed your family. Because most people nowadays just think things come easy. But from
everyone wants their hand out.
Yeah. So, but from what I'm listening, you are somebody who are just hustling here. Yeah, you're putting your eggs in, you're juggling this here. Yeah. 2 jobs, another business, selling you a house.
I knew that at any stage, if things didn't work out, I could go and work for a corporate company, the man again at any stage. It wasn't going to be with a ridiculous beard and a man bun. It would have been on their terms. Right? But I knew that was the worst that could happen. The absolute worst that can happen is I go back into the corporate world, I put my suit back on, I dot I's, cross T's, mime my Q's, mime my P's.
You shine up, you turn up.
You turn up and you make it work. But that was going to put me in an early grave because I was going to be miserable and I was going to be living someone else's dream. So my mindset every single day, and I started this every single day without fail, was I spent 5 minutes of every single morning, and it sounds weird saying it, but I spent 5 minutes, 10 minutes of every single morning just saying out loud how good I am, how great our business is, how great we are as humans, the fact that everything we're doing for other people. And at the end of every day, I'd spend another 5-10 minutes basically praising myself for the things that I'd done during the day. But for us, it cannot fail. Like, actually, I don't even think we ever thought about it cannot fail. It was just, how are we going to win? Everything's going to win. Everything's going to win.
Really.
And people would say, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. So many people would go, I can't believe you're doing this with a family. You've got responsibilities and you've got this. And so what I did was all the outside noise that wasn't a positive reinforcement, I just cut out of my life. I didn't listen to any. If someone didn't have something good to say or some positive input to have in any part of my life, I just didn't have them in my life. Family, unfortunately, the funny thing with family, I don't know if it's funny for lack of a better word, the funny thing with family is because they love you, they don't want to see you get hurt. So the easiest way to protect family is to give them advice to travel the easiest path, not the hardest path. So family is something that's really, really important to me. I've got a massive family on my mum's side. But yeah, any part of my family that didn't, if my family weren't in on the business, they weren't in on any conversation I had.
They're out.
They're always going to be my family, but they weren't in my conversations. They weren't in my world. I wasn't going over to their house to listen to them tell me I was stupid for following.
You're going to fail.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And that's hard because it's hard to remove yourself from what is considered safe, whether it's family, whether it's friends. But sometimes you just got to know what it is you want in life. And then surround yourself with people that have similar beliefs and work. There's no substitute for hard work.
No. Simon, when was that time you're sitting there, you're looking at the bank account, and you go, I think it's time for us to quit that job. We're not going to do this anymore. We are going to go, now we're going to go full swing.
Yeah, it was we just left Brisbane. We'd had a fairly high-profile AFL player that had joined the business. Perth boy, but had moved over to Queensland, and still in touch. Great guy, great family. And we got back. We were in the Queensland airport, and I said to Heath, I said, when we get back, we're quitting our jobs. This is all we do. Full time, every day. We're going to pay that wage. And see, Heath is really funny because, like, I call him T-Rex because he's got short arms and really deep pockets. He was like, no, we're going to keep working for another 12 months. You're not touching any money. Yep. You're not allowed to have any of that. And it's so good having a business partner like that because when we started, within 6 months of being on that wage, our business sort of like went like this. And so within 6 months on the moderate wage, I'm like, right, I want to be
on top.
Right. And he's like, no. We're going to live off this for another 12 months. And I go, man, I've got 3 kids. I can't. Easy for you to say you don't have a partner, you've got no kids, you're supporting one person. No. And he's like, well, no, that's the agreement. So we always had set agreements and goals that we had to reach before we could pull more money out. And then his compromise on that was, look, we'll stay in the 60K, but if we hit X, Y, Z, we'll take out bonuses. And then that gave me goals because I was like, well, there's no way in the world I'm going to finish the month without taking my bonus.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, so that was
Relentless.
4.5 years ago.
Relentless.
Yeah.
Now, Simon, you're looking at your business grow. What are the things that your business has taught you that have made you to become maybe a better father, a better person? Maybe it could be resilience, could be discipline. I don't know what it is. Just trying to put it out there, because 6 years in the business, there's been challenges, and those challenges, it's like anything, we learn from our challenges.
Well, the business has taught me, this is probably, I don't know if it's bad or good, but the business has taught myself, it's taught Heath that we're really difficult people to work with.
Yep. Both of you or just one of you?
Both of us. Like, he is, like I said, same but different. He is just as bad as me, but just in different ways.
Is he as competitive as you?
Super competitive.
How does that go?
We argue almost every day. Like, if you walked into a room listening to the way we're talking, you think, oh my God, these guys are about to kill each other. But if you stepped in the middle of us, we'd both turn on you.
Okay.
Right? Because we are so loyal to each other.
Yep.
So look, our accountant screams, going, how can you guys have the business that you've got and not have an agreement? We don't have an agreement.
Yep.
Our agreement is a handshake.
Check. Yeah, beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist in today's world.
No.
That's our agreement.
No.
So our business has taught me that we're really difficult people to work with. The reason why we're really difficult people to work with is because of the excellence we demand.
From each other or from
and
yourself.
from the staff and from people that work with us. It's like you said, in this day and age, everyone says, I want to earn this. I want to have this. But when I tell them, what are you prepared to sacrifice to get that? People in the interview, people in the stage go, oh, I'll do this. I'm going to do that. I've got no problems working 7 days a week. People go, you can't work 7 days a week. You're going to burn out. Suck it up. You have to do more than everybody else to get more. And if it means working 7 days a week for 6 months or 12 months or 4 years or however long that period, you've got to make that sacrifice. Otherwise, the will actually isn't there. The mouth is moving, the words are coming out, but your will to be doesn't really exist. So we were really difficult. And then it was like, well, the question is, what did it teach? Well, it taught us that we actually need to identify that we are difficult to work with. We have to identify that not every aspect of our business requires the level of sacrifice that we were prepared to make because it's our business, not their business. And so we have different sections within the business that require different sorts of sacrifice, and different personalities was the big one, because like you got 2 alpha males that will confront each other regularly, which makes it a very intimidating sort of environment to be around. You can't have same personalities around. So there's areas that I'm really strong, there's areas that I'm really weak. So we identified it probably within the last 3 years. It's like, where we're weak, we need to be strong. So we don't need to hire another me or another Heath to replace what we're doing. We need to find people that are strong in areas where we're weak. And then there's certain aspects of the business where you need to actually reinforce people. So we're always of this ability, don't be the victim. Don't be the victim, but people need positive reinforcement. People need to understand progression, and that you expect something from them, but you're prepared to invest in them as well. So really what we try to create in our business now is not a job, it's a career. And when you start, you will, for lack of as an analogy, you're going to start mopping the floors.
Yep.
And you're going to know how to make the floor look shiny before you learn how to do this.
Coffee.
Because every single thing in our business, Heath and I had to do from the ground up.
Scratch. Yep.
And that's just like, you guys want to earn this? Well, we'll give you the tools to earn this. But you got to leave your ego at the door, and you got to be prepared to do all these other things.
That's quite hard.
Really hard, because everyone's got their own ego and where they sort of sit. But then just the importance, like I never really understood the importance of administration.
Yeah. I
was like, admin, just punch some keys and things. I never. The
reason why I'm laughing is because I'm guilty of that.
You're right, yeah. Like I never understood the importance of it. But where people fail most in business, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is they just try to do everything because they don't see value in other areas. But when we learnt the value of time, it was like the amount of time it takes me to do an administrative task that I hate doing is significantly longer than someone that is actually mentally geared towards loving that, right? Yep. And then it's the amount of time I'm spending doing that is actually taking me from the amount of time that
you're supposed to be doing what you love.
What we love and how we get a really good return.
You've got kids, and I'm going to ask you this question. I've listened to some podcasts, and there's some. I'm not going to mention the name. Somebody was saying, if your kid is not good at particular something, let's say your kid is good at public speaking. Yep. But very average on computing. And so somebody goes, you have to really push them to be really good at computers so that they're high there. And I look at it, if somebody is very good at computers, if you is very average in computer, let's say it's a 4, you push them so hard for them to become a 6. But somebody who's very good at maybe photography and they're like an 8, you could push them to be a 9.5.
Yeah. And
so which means 9.5 is really good. Yeah. So in your principle, how you operate, will you rather get somebody, would you help somebody who's average at a 4 at something, get them to 6? Or should you empower somebody who's good at, marketing and get them to a 9 and they'll be just the best marketer instead of trying to get this person who doesn't like marketing, try to get them to 6?
Yeah, for me, it's and again, look, everything's open to conjecture, but for me it's really simple. There's certain things each of us as humans have better qualities, better traits at. Yeah. So when you find something that you have more talent than or are more naturally gifted than others, that's the direction I push you in. And then it's like talent only takes you so far.
Yep.
So you need the work ethic. So right now you've got a head start because you're better at speaking, or you're better at listening, or you're better with numbers, or you're better with English. Whatever it is, wherever you have your head start, it's like, well, that's your head start, that's your passion. Yeah. When you have a passion for something and you have a work ethic and the will, you will accelerate faster than an area where you don't have interest. Exactly. And then it's okay. You know what? Because you don't need to be good at computers. I remember, look, man, I'm old. So I remember in year 10 at school, computing came in. Yep. And I was doing computing, and it was an open book test, and I gave the school a virus. Now, I got suspended for a week because the headmaster was convinced that I'd obviously deliberately done it because it was an open book test. How do you give the school a virus? I honestly, I swear to God, I didn't. I'm not the tech guy. I never want to be the tech guy. I don't want to understand any of that. Yep. So we employ someone that's really good on that side.
Every day in the morning. Is it just
that's just a show. That's just so you think I look smart. It's the same reason why I wear glasses. Yeah. There's no lenses. It's just to give you the feel. But it's in answer to your question, when you show a passion for something, and just my opinion, that's what I want. So right now, it's a good question, right? So right now, my wife and I are arguing about schools. And I'm like, you know what? None of my kids are showing any academic aptitude whatsoever. Yeah. So no, I'm not spending 40 grand on them each year to go to a private school to say they went to a private school. It's not happening. You want to do something, show me an aptitude, show me a passion. My middle child loves art. Right now, she loves it. Like, she wakes up in the morning, she's drawing. In the afternoon, she's always art. Right. So yes, that passion continues. I want to give her an opportunity
to push her
further. My eldest child, Mackenzie, she's very much like me in terms of the sense that things come easy to her. Right? So but that's why I didn't have that work ethic. That's why I would party for 3 months, work for 3 months, because I was that guy that, like, everything would come easy. Where someone's got to work 10 times, I don't have to do 1 hour's work, I get the result. Mackenzie's like that. So I spend more time with Mackenzie just trying for her to understand that, yes, things come easy, but if you work as hard as everyone else, you'll get 10 times the results than everybody else. And then the smallest one, Khaleesi, the mother of dragons, She is. She was post-COVID baby, so she spent the most time with me in infancy than any of the other kids, and so she is a firestorm, just like me. She rolls in, she takes control of everything, and runs the show. It's quite funny because she's 6 years old and she controls her sisters at 6.
I don't see anything different.
And she's tiny and small, and then I think of my wife. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
Yep. So that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Now, Simon, I really want to say thank you for sharing that interest, but I just want to maybe rewind time and go back. This young little guy in Big Brother.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Oh man, so I didn't like Big Brother. When I auditioned for Big Brother in 2005, it was the largest. This is again ego, but it's true. It was the biggest audition that Big Brother had ever had. Ever. There was like 37,000 something people auditioned for it. It was the highest rated Big Brother that Big Brother's ever had, and I went on there as a $50 bet with my really good friend Rhett. That I'd get further in the audition process. And I still remember it, right? I used to smoke, and it was a 37-degree day. We're at UWA for the auditions. I'd given up smoking, and I'm getting agitated because I don't like waiting, and I got to wait. And it's 37 degrees. I'm burning. I felt like a snake. I could already feel my skin starting to burn and peel. And I get into the audition. I'm in this audition for like 30 seconds, and they're like, "Thanks, see you later."
Is that all?
And I'm like, shit. Okay, and I walked out, and my friend Rhett hadn't had his audition yet, and he drove. So I walked out, and I'm sitting outside, and I'm starting to get angry. Now I'm festering, and I'm getting angry. I'm like, oh, this is bullshit. And I'm going back in there. I'm getting the keys. I'll drive home. He can catch a cab home. And I walk back in there. There's a security guard goes, "You're not getting back in there." I was like, man, like. Honestly, I've had the worst day. And I'm not trying to say I'm tough or anything like that, but it wasn't the day to test me. So I'm going in. I don't know what they're paying you, but it's not worth it. Trust me. I'm going in. I walked in that door, and someone said, "What are you doing in here?" I said, "I don't care." I'm like, "Rhett, I need your keys. This is all fucked. Let me tell you, your show sucks. I don't know what you were thinking. Like, how are you going to pick people?"
Saying that?
Yeah. I don't know how you think you're going to pick people for doing freaking impersonations and pretending to have sex with chairs. Like, I'm a real life person. You want to see me have sex? I'll do it with a real life person. I'm not doing it with a chair. But your show's fucked. Everyone's fucked. You can all get fucked. Give me the keys, Rhett. I'm out of here. The executive producer came out. I don't know if I can say his name, so I won't. But he's like, "Stop. I like you. Get him through to the next stage." So I was out in 30 seconds, and he put me through. And the second that happened, every single other audition throughout the whole process, I was like, "Oh, well, they're like, what are you here for?" I was hand selected by the executive producer. And they're like, "Bullshit, you weren't." I said, "Yeah, I was. This is the story. This is how it happened." And so I just went through thinking, I'm in. I was like, there's nothing you can do that I'm not in. I had no interest. When I went in on the show, my best mates always called me Hot Dogs. It was always my nickname since I was like year 10.
Where does hot dog come from?
There's so many different...
That's your number plate too, yeah?
Oh, Dog Pound.
Okay, Dog Pound.
I should have went down. Everyone's going to be keying my car. But it's
a white car, so...
it's a white car. I don't see colour, bro.
I was good.
It happened at school because I was short and I was fat. And there's so many other stories. I prefer the story of the hot dog bun.
Nobody knows, so you can tell me whatever it is.
Right, but it started at school. One of my best friends basically called me. I was a hot dog, and I hated it. I hated it. But then I started getting a little bit older, and then you start going out with girls, and you're interacting with other schools, and how do you get the name Hot Dogs? And he was like, "Well, how do you think I got the name Hot Dogs?" You reverse it to me.
But you changed it.
Of course I do. I'm always writing my own narrative, right? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
No.
And so no one had ever been in Big Brother with their nickname, and everyone thought like, "Oh, what's this clown? Why would he go in with a nickname?" But my whole theory behind going in with a nickname was like, my best mates call me by this name. It's a sign of affection. They're my best friends, and I just wanted Australia to look at me like, I'm your best mate. I'm your friend. So it was really funny because before we went into the show, like the executive producer, everyone's like, "You're Simon Deering. Like you're going in as Simon. There's nothing else." But the day before you go into Big Brother, you get all this merch that you've got to sign. And I had my best mate Matty O'Rourke as my lock-in buddy for the week. You get locked in a hotel. You can't leave a hotel room for a week. And so the plan was, when the merchandise bird came to get us to sign all the merch, was to get him to bail her up, start talking, and Matty's got blonde hair, blue eyes. He goes okay with the girl, so he was talking away. And while he was keeping her occupied, I was signing all the merch Hot Dogs. And then the executive producer calls me up and he's like, mate, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're not going to go on the show. And I was like, I don't care. I said, I don't even care about the show. Like, I've had a week here. I've had a lot of fun in lockdown. Send me back. I'm doing my own thing. I don't care.
I win my $50 bet.
And he was exactly. And he was just like, you know, we can pull you at any time. I was like, do it. I don't care. Like, I don't care. And for all the reasons why he hated me, there was the same reasons why he loved me. You know, he liked me. But yeah, Big Brother was a mad experience. I went in there, had a hell of a lot of fun. I had some good support from the boys, some of the boys at the Eagles at the time as well, you know, sort of promoting me and keeping me in there. And then, but again, because I was selfish and I was young, as soon as I got out there, I was like, what's in it for me? And it didn't take me very long to get into trouble. It didn't take me very long to get into trouble. But I definitely made the most of my 15 minutes. And what it made me realise was, I don't want to be famous. Like, I don't know how people do it, how they go out to a bar and everybody knows who you are and everyone just wants a piece of you. They want to know what they can get or what trouble they can put you in. Yeah. And I didn't want any of that.
You think you're not?
No, definitely not.
I've seen you in Subi. Everybody knows who you are there.
That's just one little postcode.
That's it now. Simon, the business is going very well. I want you to be able to get into... We want to be able to get into your mindset. And somebody, I've always asked this question when I'm here, somebody home there want to start their business. Somebody home there want to maybe buy their first house or they want to be able to get into the industry. What is the advice you give somebody who wants to start? Actually, I would say this, somebody wants to start a business or somebody struggling in the business. What would be the advice Simon?
No matter what it is in life, you need to have a plan. Yeah. You need to have a plan that is super detailed to hold you accountable. Because a lot of people say, oh, I want to be a marketing person or I want to start a I don't know, whatever company it is. But then when you ask them about numbers, when you ask them about things that are definitive, they don't have answers for you. So the start is having a plan. Now, a plan can always change. Yeah. But if you don't have things written down that are able to be tracked metrically, you've just got a dream, right? And dreams happen when you sleep. You need a plan, and you need to understand that this is a plan, and it's okay that when you make a plan, because goals and plans are different, right? So it's okay to set a goal, and it's okay to have a plan, and it's okay to fail at both of those. But what you need to do every time you fail is take a look at the process in the plan or the structure, and where did it go wrong? And then when you identify, because when things can be measured, you can find the exact moment where things started to go wrong. And it's like, okay, right. So steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 were really, really, really good. 5's where the wheels started falling off, and by the time I got to 10, I was done. So then it's like, right, well, I've got 1 to 4. Now I need to reevaluate what 5 through to 10 looks like. So you need a plan. You need total accountability. They're the two most important things: plan, accountability, and execute. And don't be scared to make mistakes, because you're going to me, the definition of stupidity is making a mistake and continuing to make the same mistake. You make a mistake, identify where you went wrong, how you made that mistake, and don't do it again.
So like doing legs and being able not to walk, and tomorrow you turning up, that's a mistake.
Yeah, well, everyone's always giving me a hard time about my chicken legs, but like they're super defined at the moment, bro. Like, you got that video when I'm flexing, I could almost just get up here and do a stomp.
You're like,
I'm thinking, what's his name? Tom Platz. Like, I got more definition than Platzy at the moment.
Put together. Now, Simon, we all have struggles in a business. I've got struggle in my business. I've got all that. What are the struggles you face as a business owner? And how do you face them and overcome?
This is a really good question, because Heath and I actually never stopped to smell the roses. So by that what I mean is we've actually never stopped, achieved a milestone and said, wow, this is amazing, pat each other on the back, gone out and celebrated an achievement. Like, we are in this... We don't take anything we do for granted. So the second we achieve something, there's a new target. There's another mountain to climb. There's something else to add. So the challenges that we have faced have been, honestly, it's been through staff retention because of the standards and the way we run things. So from that staff retention, it's like making a mistake. You keep making the same mistake, you're going to keep losing staff. So then it was like, well, how do we get better at retaining the staff? How do we create an environment where, these people are going to look at it as not a job, it's a career? And you can't keep everybody, but, we're really pleased to be in a position now where we're retaining people a lot more, and that's been our biggest struggle.
Oh,
that's been our biggest struggle.
So just keep
retaining people because of the way we were. So then it was like, well, the one common problem was us. So we can say, oh, everyone's a victim, or they're too scared to work. But what was the one common thing with people leaving early on? It was the two of us. So how do we be better? For instance, like, you can't have the two co-founders of the business having a full-blown argument like a couple of little kids that have lost their lolly in the boardroom in front of everyone. It's like closed doors. Like, do it by yourselves.
Punch and everyone is gone.
Yeah, and the things that come out of our mouth, I mean, it's like it's crazy. And then the other challenge, really, because our industry is like, it was always like, well, what if the market starts to tank? Overnight, like, in our business, you're only as good as your last acquisition. Yeah. So it's like, well, what happens if the business starts to tank? What happens if the market starts to tank? What if? So then we created fail-safe plans, and every business needs to have an exit strategy, but every business needs to understand that business comes in cycles. So for us, the one thing I understand about real estate is no matter what's happened for the majority in Australian real estate, certain capital cities outperform others.
Yep.
So the easiest fail-safe was to say, well, let's go national.
Yep.
And then when it was let's go national, it was like, how can you produce an asset that if the whole market fell over tomorrow and your business now comes from a value of X million to nothing, how can we protect ourselves? And for us, it was like, we'll leverage the business off other businesses. So involve a finance business, which gives you a trail, involve a building and pest business, which obviously everybody needs pest treatment, building treatment, have a property management service. And the property management one was the big one for us, because the property management gives you cash flow and it gives you an asset. And it'll always be that. Whether the market's up or the market's down, the asset is what is valued differently, but you've got an asset. Whereas in our business, if we just kept the buyer's agency business, if we stopped acquiring property, we stopped making money. So the biggest challenge was how do we leverage other businesses, and how do we create a business that has an asset that produces cash flow as well?
It's interesting how you really thought on a very broad way. So if the market is shit, you still have other sources of revenue. Do you have, like, your family, I didn't ask this to begin with, your mom, your dad, and people around you, was there anyone who was into business that you were able to learn these simple principles from?
It was really hard because, my mum comes from Mauritius, poverty, not a lot of money. 7 brothers and sisters, they all migrated from Mauritius, one to England, and then the other 6, including my mum, to Australia, 2 to Sydney, the rest to WA. The way that we shared our wealth in the Mauritian community is really through food. So you have a Mauritian gathering and you got like 50 of us there, and there's a freaking long table that goes outside of the house into the backyard, and everyone's got a curry or food or whatever, and that's how you're sharing your wealth and your love, because you've got nothing else. Dad came from a family of 5. His father was shot dead when he was like 2.5. He got, in those days, women weren't working, so his mum couldn't look after all the kids. All the kids got fostered out to, uncles and aunties and stuff. Dad had to leave school when he was in year 7, so he was self-made. But I lost Dad. My dad had a massive stroke when I was 25, and I lost him when I was 32. But he was my best friend, he was my mentor, but I only had him up to 25, and we've already established that I was so self-absorbed and self-centered that I didn't get to realise how great my dad was until he was gone. And that sucks because he was my best mate. But I didn't. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot of values, and he always taught me, there's like, good people can do bad things and they'll have remorse. Bad people do bad things, they don't care. So he gave me all of the foundations of success. But while he was around, I wasn't attributing to those values.
He sounded like he was a great man.
Yeah, he was.
One of the things that you said was, "Do you know how long it took me to have this name?"
Yeah, that was big. That was big.
Yeah, so that's
he hated me being in real estate because the whole.
What did he hate about it?
Well, just the perception, of a typical real estate person. You know, like I started the podcast with the chameleon. You know, and that's why I hate selling real estate. It's like you and I'm not discriminating here. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
You get into a listing presentation, you become the person that you think your seller wants you to be.
Yeah.
You know, you wear a suit or you're fancy. That was never me. Like I can be clean shaved and have short hair and put on a suit and look great.
That part.
Right? But that's not who I am.
No.
Like that's not who I am.
I wish I was the same. Like
I just wanted to be genuine and authentic. And then I was like, that like when you talk about being different, it's or success in business, that's actually the number one thing. Be authentic. Be yourself. Do not care that when you are yourself and you are authentic, that 9 out of the 10 people that you see for the day do not want to work with you because they don't like your authenticity. Because there's going to be one that does, and the one that does, you get to give them your full energy and everything. And the beautiful thing with being authentic and genuine is that you don't have to try to do anything.
No, you become...
You're not pretending to do it. You don't have to be on point. You don't have to think, what was that conversation that I had yesterday? Because you
real.
were 100% you. It's
like
real.
saying the truth.
It's real.
You don't have to remember the truth.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. You don't have to remember the truth.
Yeah.
Now, I know you may be rushing for time and everything, but there's a young kid out there, there's a manager out there, there's somebody maybe wants to open a business. What advice would you give them after, grinding, being in real estate for 20 plus, having your own business in the last 6-7 years? What's the advice you share with them?
You hear it a lot, but whatever it is you want to do in life, I just encourage you to go and do it. And you, like with us, if you've only got $2,000, you don't have anything to set, well then guess what? The pain is you need other jobs. Don't let your ego get in the way of achieving your dreams. Understand that everything you want in life will come with sacrifice. Identify what the sacrifice is, and if you're okay with what the sacrifice is, make the sacrifices, put in the blood, sweat and tears, and make it happen. Don't sit around at 50 thinking I could have done this or I should have done this, being at the barbecue. Identify what it is you want in life and go for it. And like I said, if at the end of that you weren't good enough, you'll be able to live with that. Yes, does it make it any easier? No. Does it? If you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, shit, I wasn't good enough, does that suck? Yes, it does. But it doesn't suck anywhere near as bad as looking at yourself in the mirror thinking I didn't give it everything. I took shortcuts. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in following your dreams and doing those things. And, Albert Einstein, I think, therefore I am. No matter who you talk to that's successful or not successful, they will tell you why they are or why they're not, and that's exactly why they are, and it's exactly why they're not.
You've just touched something there that I would like to just push on, and it's a really good point that everything that you want, you have to sacrifice something, okay? What have you had to sacrifice to become the person you are today?
Well, I had to sacrifice ego. I sold AMGs.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it's hard to hear because I've got a big ego. Like I get it. But ego
Simon,
is on another level.
Simon, I hang around with you a lot.
Bro.
I spend some weekends with you.
I know, man. There's levels to ego, and if you think this is big, you needed to know me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because you had to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
You had to.
I'm actually joking.
No, but it's true. Like I'm well aware of that. But the sacrifices you need to make in order to achieve what you want are the sacrifices you need to make. And sometimes it's admitting that, I actually am not as good as I say I am, or I don't know what I'm doing here. Don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to ask for advice. You can listen to 100 people tell you 100 different things, or listen to someone talk like someone is right now for an hour and think this is all bullshit. And then just that person says 30 seconds that resonate with you, take that 30 seconds and run with it. But you got to be prepared to listen to a lot of shit to uncover the little diamonds.
Have you ever asked for help?
Yeah. I used to hate asking for help because I saw it as a sign of weakness. But now my whole philosophy and thinking around that's totally obvious. It's actually a sign of strength to be able to ask someone for help. Because you're showing a vulnerability. You're accepting the fact that, in this particular area, in this particular situation, I'm not strong enough to follow through with this, and I need help. And it can be in anything. Like when we met, the only reason you got me back into training, I'd stopped training for 11 years, right? I have an addictive personality. I let certain addictions rule my life that didn't stop me from performing, but it allowed me to have the excuse that I didn't need to be training anymore. And when I met you, I was with someone else and ego. You'd said, "You want to come in for a session?" If I'd been by myself, I would have just said, "See you later, buddy." No, I don't want to come into a session. I don't want to know anything about what you're going to do to me in that gym, right? But I was with someone else. So, of course, I said, yeah, I'll come in for that free session. And then at that time, I was really good at letting myself down. But what I will never do is let somebody else down. So if I make a commitment to myself, and we're going back 7 months, I could break the commitment to myself. But if I make a commitment to you, I can't break that commitment. And then my addictive personality kicks in, because the competition was, how good can I become? How much stronger can I become? I remember you used to say, "I'm going to break you. I'm going to do this. I'm a bad man. Don't get me started. I'm going to do this." I was like, you can't, because like what's up in here, like my body can break, you can hurt me, I can whatever, but you can't make me stop. As long as my heart's beating and my brain, there's something there. I'll crawl into the gym if I have to. If I can't use my legs anymore, I use my arms. I'll find ways. I'll find ways.
You're going to work on this.
I know, and I cry. I cry like a little girl sometimes, and I leave there, but I'm always back the next day.
Simon, you've talked about a plan. What does Simon visualize himself in the next 2, 3, 4 years? And what is the plan to get to that? Because you've said you want to be the number one in what you do.
Yeah, with buyers agents. Yeah,
buyers
so we
in Australia.
Yep.
Not in Perth, in Australia.
In Australia, yeah.
What is Simon's plan? What is the blueprint that Simon has? What is the one thing that Simon is going to do to be able to get him there? I just want somebody to realize what kind of mindset you have that has been getting you to where you want, apart from being competitive.
Yeah, so our plan was always about not trying to take the world over in a day. So, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. So everything we've done has been really strategic. It's always about not relying on someone else to fund us money. So I've always found that when you don't owe anyone money, you can focus on the things that you actually want. So we have strategically been building in each city. We opened Brisbane last year. We've just opened Melbourne this year. Next year it'll be Sydney. We always thought to be truly national, you only need to operate in the 4 major capital cities. Right. So our plan has already been financed. How we do our marketing, how we do our SEO, has already been financed. So that's taken care of. We know that we can run our business for a number of years now. If we stopped buying today, we can run our business for the next 5 years off the money we've got. So nobody can stop us for at least 5 years. And then the plan is, well, no one's been able to stop us in 12 months, in 6 months. So if we know we can go for 5 years and we're prepared to keep working, then who's going to stop us? And then the importance was rinse and repeat. The model that we've set up in Western Australia, people have obviously identified that is what they want. They want good old-fashioned service. They want you to be up to date with technology and market trends and analytics, but they want the good old-fashioned face-to-face service. So when we open up in a new state like Brisbane, it's not about finding another me or Heath. It's about finding someone that has similar values, similar morals, they're their own identity, but also unapologetically them. We're blessed to have that in Brisbane. We're blessed to have that in Melbourne, and then you repeat it. So for me, it's like success is a formula. Success can be different formulas, but when you have that formula, don't try and change it. Rinse and repeat.
I just want you to say that again.
Yeah, success is a formula.
Exactly. And guess what? Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
Success leaves clues. Most people don't realize that. Success leaves clues, and it's a formula.
Well, it's like a lot of people don't realize that the difference between average and good, the difference between bad and good is significant, but the difference between good and excellent is very small. It's somebody doing 1% more than the other person every single day of every single week of every single year.
Becomes better.
At the end of the day, you don't see 1% difference. At the end of the week, you don't notice that. At the end of the year, you start to see a gap. But when you do that consistently and you've done it for 5 years, the gap becomes unattainable. And then, like, I love martial arts. I love boxing. I love sport. And one of the things that always stayed with me was Ali was always like, I don't do things until I get it right. I do things until I don't get it wrong. Like, he never, ever stopped. So it's like, I'm going to do this, and I got a great punch. I did it right. That's great. Keep doing it until you don't get it wrong. That's perfection.
Perfection.
So the pursuit of perfection. And then what is perfection? Can you actually ever achieve perfection? Probably not. No. So you're always in pursuit of that. So, and that's like when I say we don't stop the smell of roses. It can be bad, but there's this other aspect that makes it good. And we're not trying to get better for the ego. We're trying to get better because we never want to get complacent. The second complacency sets in, standards slip.
Bang, you're done. You're done. One of the things that you mentioned was the challenges you've had is staff,
Yep.
able to get the right staff, and you expanding at a really fast rate.
Yeah.
How are you going to manage that?
Well, that's about being able to step away from being in the business and being able to be on the business more.
Yeah.
That's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
But again, it just comes with not trying to build Rome in a day. Like, don't grow too fast. Ensure that the people that we're bringing on are the right people, and then don't be scared to ask for help.
Yep.
And in certain areas of our business, like with the property management, be open to collaboration. Like, we like to think we're the best buyers agents in Australia, right? I am not the best property management person in Australia, so I collaborate with who we believe to be the best property managers in Australia. Teamwork.
Yeah.
And then from that and collaborating with others that are successful, you're building more relationships. And the more relationships you build with other people that share the similar mindset, the more growth you have. And then instead of just you going out there promoting what you do and delivering on that excellence, you've got 30 other people, 300 other people, 3,000 other people that are all saying the same thing about you.
Singing the same song.
And then like, I know we've spoken about our business and us, and it comes across as a bit wanky and certainly egotistical and probably a little bit arrogant. But one of the things we love doing is actually promoting others, putting others in the spotlight, and other businesses, and because it'll all come around. So where you've got an opportunity to say something good about someone else, it has to be authentic, it has to be genuine.
It has to be good, not just selling.
That's what you really need to do. And when you do start achieving success. Never forget where you came from, and understand that, just like you're saying, if there's someone out there that's wanting to start their own business, what do you need? Like, if you find people that have similar morals, similar values, and they've got these dreams and they don't have a plan, sit down and help someone create a plan.
Giving is receiving.
100%. And that's the thing about the selfishness, when it's switched, and this is really weird, and you sort of don't want to send this message out, because then selfish people will think, if I just give, I can still be really selfish, because when you give, you actually get. But the more you give, the more you get.
I've seen that in one of your meetings that you invited me.
Yeah.
That was really good, because it was a very different thing for me to experience and all that. Now, Simon, I just want you to give people who are listening to you, or people who are struggling in business, starting business, wanting to be in business, what's word of wisdom you could give them?
Well, look, I don't know how many people are going to listen to this, but whoever
One.
maybe it's only one, right?
Yeah, we just need one, and that one.
So let's just say there is one. Let's say there's 10. Let's say there's 100. Whoever is listening to this that is planning on doing something else, I don't know if there's a way to get in contact with me. You get in contact with me, I'll sit down with you for an hour, and I'll help you start a plan.
Beautiful. Now, bro, I cannot thank you enough. And I'm sitting here, I'm just like, wow, this guy, from big brother, from being a young kid starting in real estate and working for coin, not having a purpose, then transforming your life, your kid changing your life, the second one changing you and becoming the father, the man, the son that you are. It's been incredible to be on your journey. I was just actually sitting here, just taking everything in and saying, it's good to know you on a different platform. It's good to know you on a different level. I want to say I'm really blessed. I'm really thankful for us to be able to meet, and I cannot wait to see where you're going. I want to wish you all the best.
Likewise, bro. I got so much love for you, man. Mad appreciation.
I know for sure you are going to be the best in whatever you do in Australia or whatever you want to do, because your drive, your dedication, your will to never give up, it's second to none.
Man, I love it. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to us doing something together.
Yeah.
Because, man, just a lot of love, a lot of appreciation.
It's coming.
You've helped me so much in such a short period of time. You're able to help me identify where I thought I was in a good place and I was doing a lot. You were able to help me identify that I've still got so much more to do. There's so many more areas that I can improve on.
I just want you to have fun.
Yeah, and I'm having fun along the way. That's a key ingredient.
I just want you to enjoy this fun, this journey that we are on, and the brotherhood that we share. That's one of the most important things. One of the most important things that I love is making sure people are just happy.
Yep.
Yeah, and just.
Well, that's your aura, man. You bring that.
Yeah.
I see that in every aspect of who you are. You genuinely care, and it's why, we attract to each other.
Yeah, man. And it's just really, I really love how you talk about your kids, your family, and being part of that, listening to it, it gives me a lot of insight about you. Now I know I don't have to kill you, because there's a lot of people who depend on you.
Yeah, well, I don't have to see you till Monday, so I've got the weekend to just think about it.
Bro, thank you so much.